Hi, I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Forum Daily West. Here are some of the top stories we have lined up for you tonight. Air Canada cancels thousands of flights after flight attendants walk out over the weekend, ignoring a federal back-to-work order. It's by-election day in the Battle River Crowfoot riding. Will Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre beat out the more than 200 candidates for a spot back in Parliament? President Trump holds meetings at the White House with Ukraine's president and other European leaders with attention on ending the war in Ukraine. Thanks so much for joining us. It is a week starting off with huge travel headaches for thousands of Canadians. Air Canada has been forced to cancel thousands of flights after flight attendants walked out over the weekend in what the Canada Industrial Relations Board has called an illegal strike. The flight attendants are demanding better pay. Picketers continued to march around outside Toronto's Pearson International Airport early this morning after their union ignored a federal back-to-work order. Prime Minister Mark Carney says he's disappointed that the union and the airline could not reach a deal after 8 months of bargaining.
Anything to say to Air Canada union workers?
I'll say the following. We recognize very much the critical role that flight attendants play in keeping Canadians and their families safe as they travel, comfortable as they travel. And it's important that they're compensated equitably at all times, fairly at all times. That's the reason why there have been negotiations over the course of the last 8 months. It is disappointing that those negotiations did not come to an agreement. It was the judgment of both the union and the company that they were at an impasse. That's not my judgment, it's their judgment. And so we are in a situation where literally hundreds of thousands of Canadians and visitors to our country are being disrupted by this action. I urge both parties to resolve this as quickly as possible, and the Minister will have more to say. Minister Haidji will have more to say later.
The Canada Industrial Relations Board has ordered the union's leadership to tell its members to end the work stoppage after the union ignored a federal return to work order over the weekend. But QB National President Mark Hancock says that won't be happening.
The CIRB has declared this is a lawful strike. The strike is over, they're saying. You know that people will go to jail potentially, and your union will face hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in fines. What's the limit that you're prepared to exert here to try to make your point?
There's no limit. We're going to stay strong. We're going to stay committed to making sure that those workers can do the job that they love doing and actually be able to afford a roof over their heads, to afford caring for their families. And if it means folks like me going to jail, then so be it. If it means our union being fined, then so be it. We're looking for a solution here. Our members want a solution here, but that solution has to be found at a bargaining table.
In other news, the U.S. trade war was high on the agenda as Prime Minister Mark Carney met with the Premier of Ontario in Ottawa today. Canada and the U.S. have failed to reach a new economic and security deal that Carney and U.S. President Donald Trump have been working on since May, but Ford is still in Carney's corner.
He's doing an incredible job. He's working collaboratively with 12 other premiers and myself, and working as Team Canada. And he's doing a very, very good job, in my opinion, put in his position dealing with Donald Trump. Let's stop worrying about Donald Trump. We'll start focusing on Ontario and Canada and all the other provinces and territories.
In recent days, Trump's attention has been focused on trying to broker an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. Today, the American president is holding a series of meetings at the White House with his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelensky, along with several European leaders and NATO's Secretary General.
We are very happy with President that all the leaders are here, and the security in Ukraine depends on the United States and on you and on those leaders who are with us. In our hearts, they have been online before yesterday, and etc. So a lot of countries on the side of Ukraine, our people, and all of us want to finish this war, stop Russia and stop this war. We spoke about it, and we will speak more about security guarantees. This is very important that the United States gives such strong signal and is ready for security guarantees.
When we talk about security, we're talking about the security not just of Ukraine, we're talking about the security of Europe and the United Kingdom as well, which is why this is such an important issue. I think this is such an important meeting. As a group, I think we've had a discussion on the phone a number of times, Mr. President, but be able now to be around the table to take it forward. And I really feel that we can, I think, with the right approach this afternoon, make real progress.
Back home, voters in the rural Alberta riding of Battle River Crowfoot are going to the polls today in a federal by-election, a by-election that is expected to be clinched by Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. Thousands in the sprawling eastern riding cast ballots in advance polls ahead of Election Day. The riding has long been a Tory stronghold, with the party garnering at least 80% of the vote in every election for more than 20 years. Poilievre is one of some 200 candidates in the ballot. The by-election was called after he lost his Ottawa area seat in April's federal election. Conservative MP Damien Carrick stepped down after winning Battle River Crowfoot so Poilievre could run. Workers in the town of Coaldale have overwhelmingly voted no to what their union is calling an insulting offer forced on them by their employer. The union, representing close to 80 workers at the town of Coaldale, says the town is not keeping up with cost of living wage hikes the way other municipalities of the same size are, and the town CAO forced an illegal vote on workers instead of allowing the negotiating team the opportunity to present a tentative agreement to its members. Curtis Jackson, who is the vice president of the Alberta Union of Public Employees, says the town is also trying to roll back workers' sick time from a previous collective agreement and offering an 11% raise over 4 years instead of a 15% cost of living adjustment.
It is not comparable to what other municipalities in Alberta are being offered as far as their workers go. And that includes municipalities of the same size and composition as the town of Coaldale. So it is an insulting offer. Especially when you consider that town council had just approved to give councillors raises 3 years ago of 30%. The mayor also took a raise of 40%. So they're really good about giving themselves raises. But when we're talking about, the workers in the town of Coaldale that really get everything done there and work hard to make Coaldale a beautiful little town, they're still fighting to keep up with inflation and increased cost of living.
Bridge City News has reached out to the town of Coaldale's CAO for a response. The town's website, however, has laid out the bargaining in black and white, saying they've tried to bargain in good faith, and the union was actually pushing for a 30% raise for workers, while the town's offer was 17%. They also claim Coaldale's wages come in higher than even a city the size of Medicine Hat. For more detailed information about the bargaining, visit coaldale.ca. Southern Alberta's largest summer fair kicks off Tuesday with the Whoop Up Days Parade presented by Park Place Shopping Center. You'll need to be there early to nail down a viewing spot along the parade route. The parade is scheduled to begin at 9 a.m. The traditional routes travels south along 3rd Street Southeast on 3rd Avenue South, and then north on 13th Street North, and then east on 9th Avenue North, dispersing at the Galbraith Elementary School. And because of tomorrow's parade, there will be some closures. City Hall will be closed to the public during the parade. If you are traveling to an area within the parade route, plan accordingly for any route closures and allow for extra time to reach your destination. During the parade hours, some transit routes may be interrupted. Check your transit status at myride.lethbridge.ca. There will also be several pancake breakfasts and barbecues held throughout the city. Following the parade, the Mayor's Community Barbecue will be held outside Lethbridge City Hall on 4th Avenue South. It is scheduled to begin at 11:30 a.m. Avoid the post-parade traffic and come down to enjoy live entertainment and a free lunch. Well, not everyone is excited about the Whoop Up Days Parade, though, and you can include the pro-Alberta sovereignty group, the Alberta Prosperity Project, among them. They say their application to display their float in the parade was rejected by Lethbridge and District Exhibition. Kim Gallucci, acting CEO of the LDE, says it's nothing personal against the APP. The LDE has made changes in recent years to steer away from the display of controversial or political messages during the parade.
The parade's really meant to be a fun, enjoyable experience by all. These policies were developed a couple of years ago, just after a few things. And this isn't really directed specifically at them. This applies to all organizations that want to have any type of real political message. We decline most of those. If not, well, we decline all those that have a political message.
Gallucci adds a group against coal mining also had their application rejected. There are 124 floats being displayed in Tuesday's parade, and Gallucci says the length of the parade would be unrealistically long if they attempted to accommodate all social and political viewpoints. When we return, we'll have more of the top stories from the West with Forum Daily West. On the eve of Whoop Up Days, Lethbridge's Member of Parliament Rachel Thomas held her annual free pancake breakfast for residents and constituents. Thomas says the breakfast is one of the major opportunities that she gets in the year to connect with her community and hear concerns and questions from the people in her riding.
Whoop Up Days is always a ton of fun. Everything from the rides to the rodeo to connecting with people, free pancake breakfasts across the community. It's just a great way to connect. I think my job as a member of parliament is two things. I think it's to listen and I think it's to act. And so I look for opportunities to provide a chance for folks to come and talk to me. I think something like this is a little more relaxed and people feel maybe a little more comfortable and a little more confident coming, grabbing some pancakes and maybe having a quick word with me, which is a lot of fun for me. Today, mostly people are wanting to express their gratitude for, the representation that I offer, but certainly I'm also hearing some concerns around affordability. I had one person raise an issue with regards to accessibility for an individual with a wheelchair in Parks Canada. So those are a couple of the things that have come across my way today.
Now, Thomas also took issue with the federal government's response to China's preliminary anti-dumping duties imposed on Canadian canola last week. These duties come on top of the previously imposed tariffs on canola meal and oil. The decision by the Chinese government to impose tariffs came after the Canadian government put tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles exactly 1 year ago. Thomas says the federal government must rescind their tariffs on EVs immediately after calling it a, quote, poor political decision.
Agriculture simply is, incredibly valuable in this area in southern Alberta, and I would dare say it's actually, the superpower of our nation. When China decided to put tariffs against canola, of course, that has hurt us significantly. It originated with 100% tariffs on canola seed and on canola meal and canola oil. Now it's 75% tariff on canola seed. And all of this started because the Liberal government decided to put a tariff on China EVs. We didn't need to do that. In fact, I would argue that it was a poor political decision. And now, unfortunately, our agricultural producers, in particular our canola farmers, are suffering. The government needs to reverse course as quickly as possible and do the right thing for farmers.
Rachel Thomas expanded more into this topic and other issues during our one-on-one interview, which aired last Thursday. You can view that interview on our BCN YouTube channel right now. The rumor has come to fruition. With plummeting ratings and a clear anti-Trump bias, NBC has decided to distance itself from MSNBC. Later this year, NBC Universal will spin off a new company that will be a home to a new news channel with a new name and a new logo.
The cable news network MSNBC, which has Rachel Maddow and Ari Melber and others as personalities and is a favorite of liberals, is getting a new name. It will be known as My Source for News, Opinion, and the World, or MS Now for short. It's all something that was ordered by NBC Universal as part of the corporate divorce between it and some of its cable companies, which are forming a new company known as Versant. MSNBC is building a new news organization with its own reporters and some of its own people, and NBC News has been a little bit nervous about having its more straight news report associated with MSNBC's more liberal bent. President Trump calls MSNBC MSDNC, as a matter of fact. The change will take place later this year, and the NBC Peacock is being removed from the logo of MSNBC and all the other cable networks.
A new Equifax Canada report shows 1.4 million Canadians missed a credit payment in the second quarter. While the figure is up by 118,000 compared with the same time last year, it represents a slight drop-off from the first quarter. Rebecca Oakes of Equifax Canada says it's a bit of good news to see the delinquency rate leveling off. Equifax says younger people are facing increasing financial difficulties as their average non-mortgage debt rose 2% to more than $14,000 from a year ago. Duty-free shops are still struggling as Canadians shun U.S. travel. Recent figures from Stats Canada shows that return trips from the United States dropped again in July as Canadians continue to limit travel mid-President Donald Trump's trade war. Barbara Barrett, Executive Director of the Frontier Duty-Free Association, says the industry is in a full-blown crisis. The association says that sales at duty-free stores have fallen between 40% and 50% across the country since last January, with some remote crossings reporting declines of up to 80%. That is your Forum Daily West report. I'm Jeanette Roche. Thanks so much for watching.